This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks Aquarium Authority. Today is Tuesday, August 18th of 2026. Time is 5:10 p.m. Mr. Macy, if you could please verify our attendance, sir.
Murray. Here. Abel. Montgomery. Here. Brown. Here. Morris.
Here.
Blackburn. Here. Chairbox.
Here. Item number 1 is our consent agenda. Anyone have anything inside item number 1 you'd like to pull for discussion? You can do so now. If not, we can entertain a motion for approval.
Move to approve. Second.
Thank you. Proper motion and second. Item 1. Let's vote, please.
Murray.
Yes.
Montgomery. Yes. Brown.
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.
Blackburn.
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes, sir. We will, no need for item number 2. We'll pull. Moving on to item 3, the Aquatic Oklahoma remodel bid cancellation. Mr. Alexopoulos. Good evening, sir.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you, Mayor. Last time we met, I was mentioning how we have Dr. Money secured funds from Oakley Foundation and One Oak to do the remodel of the Aquatic Oklahoma Gallery. And so we were hoping somebody would bid on it. It was a situation we knew that we didn't quite have enough money for a complete, remodel, but we were hoping that I could at least get a bid proposal for at least 30 or 40% of it, maybe 50%, but that wasn't the case, and nobody bid on the project. When we had one company that was local, that's what we were banking on, because it would be a lot cheaper. But even they didn't bid on it. So we did some calling and said, hey, we noticed you didn't bid. And basically the consensus was, there's nothing we can do for that amount. And one company said, well, we can sell you 4 or 5 trees and a couple boulders. So things have gotten really expensive. But no matter. We're going to be just fine. We have a plan to just do it ourselves. But we're going to piecemeal it. So we're going to pick a small, one area at a time. And then we'll just GC the whole thing. So I can buy the tank, and then I can hire, a contractor to do some demolition, and just kind of piecemeal it like that, and try to limit the amount of labor from our staff, especially for the first part of the project. So what I'm trying to do is basically get as much done without a lot of work from the staff, to give them enough time to finish or nearly finish the Shark Research Center. Once that is complete, then we can have everybody really bang that exhibit out. And it's not a problem because there's a lot of long lead times on tanks and things like that. There's plenty we can do to start purchasing, materials and different props. We can also have some of these companies build a prop or two, as long as it's not outrageously expensive. So in the long run, we're going to save $1 million plus. And it'll look better it always looks better if we do it. So it just is. And so I think we're okay on that. But so we're just not going to go back to bid. And we have plenty of money to do what we need to do if we do it ourselves.
What do you think that means for the timeline, for execution timeline?
Like I said, I think, we can start purchasing right away. I'm going to get with Mr. Sanchez, and we're going to get a game plan together. There's some big ticket items. There's several exhibits that we want to change or move and put in different tanks, much more impressive. And the reality is we can do more of that now, believe it or not, because before we just kind of held about 100,000 to the side. We started with 550 and we went to bid for 450, but that was to buy some tanks. But now we have plenty of money, and we can buy better tanks. So anyhow, to your point, or to your question, We can start all that right now. Some of those tanks are going to have a 3 to 6 month lead time anyhow. But we can buy filtration components. So I would say for the next 4 to 6 months, we'll just be acquiring everything we need. And then we can still do demo. There's one corner that has a very meek tank in it and no one's going to miss. And that is where we're going to put a very large tank that's going to be impressive. So we can go ahead and take that one down. I can hire, a small company, and I know several that can come in and just do the demo of the walls, pour me a pad. We can get the tank in place, then they can frame it back in and get ready for theming and do stuff like that. And I think that'll carry us through at least the next 6 to 8 months. And at that point, the guys are going to be, pretty far along on the research center, maybe even able to peel some guys off. So it's going to overlap, but I think the timing is pretty good, and I'm not really concerned about it. It'll be nice. And we can open those areas up when we're done. So, once we get one area done, we'll open it, take another area down. I think it'll be just fine.
Okay, so again, so you think that it's like a year-long project in the end, or what? I'm just trying to get an idea.
I would give it about a year to a year and a half.
Okay.
But like I said, during that time, we're gonna be opening sections of that. So I would give it a year and a half.
Right.
And,
So you're going to open pieces as they are completed. Okay.
Yeah. So, you're going to see progress, and it's like, oh, wow, this is an amazing area, where the GAR are, that area is, we're not shutting the GAR tank down. That's a major exhibit, but next to it is the bowfin, and there's that round catfish tank that is quite too small for that animal. So we're going to knock all that out. We're going to put a big, impressive, crappie exhibit. We're going to pull the dock that's in the GAR tank. We're going to extend that dock to the dry side and back into the crappie tank, so it all jives. And then we have a really neat schooling tank we're going to do and the columns going in there too. So we'll put 2 tanks right there, and it'll be fantastic. So, we have. We know what we're going to be doing in the different areas, and it works out really well. So, yeah.
I have a question. So this won't impact any, I don't know if parameters are the right word, that One Oak and Oxley Foundation put on the funds. There's nothing that says, we're giving you this money and it must be done by XYZ. So
I brought this game plan to Dr. Money, who secured the funds. And so I explained it to her, and the idea and how it would be. And I specifically asked her, is what you just asked me. And she assured me that it's not a problem at all. So that's all I can go by is her information.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you both. Any other questions for Mr. Alexopoulos? All right. Seeing that there's none, we can. That was just a discussion item, correct, Chris? We don't have to vote on closing that bid, do we?
Teresa, we don't have to.
No.
No, I didn't. Okay, I didn't think. No. Okay. All right. Staff report.
All right. So our revenue is still relatively tracking from last year. It's a little on the low side right now. I was I had a colleague come in town. We had lunch. He's with Reynolds Polymer. They're one of the largest acrylic suppliers in the world for acrylic windows. So they work with many, many aquariums. And I kind of mentioned it to him, and he said, "Oh man," he said, "You're lucky." He said, "You're lucky you still have projects going." And I was like, "Yeah, that bad?" And he goes, "Yeah, everybody's shutting down projects." And he said that we're feeling it across the board, that there's a lull in attendance and revenue, which made me feel pretty good, because we're not that low. We're just a little bit, and sometimes we catch up and we're even. So we're neck and neck, but I think it's just part of the time right now. Sharklahoma went really well. Obviously, Sharks in the Park was, I think, the best event I've ever seen in Jenks. Over 4,000 people showed up for that. The rain came and went at the perfect time. Mermaids Night Out was a success. And I was actually at one of the tables during it, and it was a lot of fun. I've actually never been to one of those, but I think I might have to start getting crafts together myself. I mean, it was really cool. Everybody had made stuff.
So we need to acquire you a mermaid outfit?
Well, I had one on.
Oh, okay.
But it was under my clothes, so it's for personal
we've
reasons.
Often wondered.
It's for personal reasons. Did I mention I have a pool? But no, it was a lot of fun. And, Brittany, was selling her windows, and she sold a window. But we got to thinking, because our guy next to us did really well and sold a bunch of necklaces that he makes. And I thought, well, we didn't have to load up hundreds of pounds of things in the truck. We could just have a pocket full of necklaces. So I just thought it was really a fun event. And if y'all haven't been, I recommend that you do go next time, because it was really neat. It was a whole different vibe and feel than our typical events. Halloween, the daytime events are 16th and 17th. The nighttime events is the 23rd, the 24th, the 30th, and the 31st. And we're always taking volunteers, especially the evenings is the real need for handing out candy and things of that nature. If anybody wants to volunteer, that'd be great. But we're a little ways up. And the Shark Adventure winner was from Joplin, Missouri, and that went really well. I think I told y'all last time we have a little different competition this time, instead of doing the dive with the sharks, because ever since Mayor Box got in there, those sharks are just not acting the same. And so we thought, it's kind of getting a little stale, and the sharks are getting a little rowdy. So we thought, let's switch it up. And we did it's kind of like a biologist for the day, but it's centered around sharks, so they could feed sharks, watch all kinds of neat stuff that we do. And it opened it up to a wider audience, including children. And, you didn't have to be a certified diver. So it went really well. We're going to reevaluate it and see about next year. But I think it went really well. And so marketing, we have 7 billboards now that are active throughout the state. Turnpike, we have near the airport, Highway 75, near Tulsa Hills, all the main entry points into the state. We have billboards, so I think that's great. And, Cherie is doing a bang-up job, I think, with, her outreach with Facebook. We're getting a lot of good feedback on that. Summer camps are over. Almost all our camps were full during the summer, which was great. And we had really good feedback on that. The education team visited 12 educational organizations and schools with our outreach program during the summer. So we're really targeting educating kids. And then, of course, STEM nights, which are one Tuesday every month. That's been growing and growing. So I think we're making some impact in the educational side of things. The projects, the Shark Research Center, it's moving great. The budget is doing really, really well. I met with Mr. Sanchez just to kind of go over everything, where we're at, how much we've spent, how much we still have. I've been keeping track of it, but I just want to make sure my numbers jive with his. And we're killing it, honestly. I think there's no doubt we're going to have enough funds. I'm just trying to see, this competition, how much I can save, because I think it's great if we can have, several $100,000, in the black would be fantastic, and I think we will. One of the biggest unknowns. So we've already purchased the vast majority of big ticket items. One of the biggest ticket items, which was the unknown, is all the tanks, all those fiberglass tanks. So we have a 30-foot, two 20-foots, and two 12-foot fiberglass tanks. And so that the price ranges on that were all over the place. And if we just bought new tanks from the same fabricator that did our original ones, we'd be in the hole probably $250,000. So we kind of have a game plan together, and we're going to reuse the smaller tanks. They're high quality tanks, and we're going to cut them to minimize the seams. So we're not going to cut them all apart like a jigsaw puzzle. We'll cut the jigsaw puzzle in 3 pieces and move it and put it back together. So we're going to save a lot of money by doing that. And then we are going to order one tank, the 30-foot round. And between the purchasing the 30-foot round and the quotes we're getting for install, that was the wild card too. Install, which is to come and reglass the seams of all the tanks, and glass the seam on the new tank. Between all of it, I had $160,000 budgeted, and we're coming in at this point at $97,000 total. And so, wow, I mean, that's just, and it's exactly what we wanted to, and it's a high quality tank. The company's name is not Fusion. Hold on. Hydro Composites, and we bought tanks from them before. The clownfish tank, which is a beautiful exhibit, that's their tank. So we've been slowly buying from this company, and we're also hearing other aquariums having really good luck with them. And so we didn't know that they do make these large panel tanks. We thought they were just making one-off, custom tanks. So there's a, Andy Aiken has been in the business in the aquarium industry longer than I have. He's a very knowledgeable aquarist and director, and he's with Baltimore Aquarium. So the company said that he has one there, so we called him. We had him take pictures from the side, make sure there's no bowing, every single angle, and he said the tank's great. They love it, no issues whatsoever, and for us, that's good enough for me. So we're 97,000. We were high-fiving because we didn't think we could get it that low. I think that is huge, and that's going to save us a lot of money. And then after that, buying the bodies for the protein skimmers that we make, because we have a second generation that we're making now, and we wanted to have enough money to change over from first generation to second generation on all our foam fractionators, protein skimmers in there, and we will easily have enough money now to do that. Let's see. Pollinator Garden's doing great. Lots of people in it. Aquatic Oklahoma, we talked about. And then the ODWC remodel, the bid goes out in September. This is per Greg Helms. And after we open them, then we will go to JAA in October. I don't know how much it's going to be. He does not have an estimate yet. So that's about as much information as I can share with you right now. When they did their report on the damage, was it kind of what you guys thought? Was it worse? Was it not as bad? It actually was better than what we thought. I mean, and then they went in and tested afterwards, with a third party. And they tested everything again, and they reviewed everything that was on the report to make sure it was done and done properly, and it all passed. So that stage is done. So now it's putting it all back together. And we can value engineer depending on what the bids, because there's some changes that aren't necessary. It's more like changes to make things flow better, layout, floor plan kind of stuff. But again, if that gets too high, then we're just gonna put it exactly back the way it was. But so far so good, but I can't guarantee you what those numbers are going to come in at. I have no idea at all, and neither does Mr. Helms. So, and that is what I have for you. Any questions?
Thank you, sir.
Concerns? All right.
Anybody?
Thank you. Oh, and I go in for shoulder surgery on the 28th of this month. So depending on how bad it is, I'll let y'all know. Chris will know how long I'll be out. If they got to rebuild the rotator cuff, and I have a suspicion they're going to have to. I may be out for 4 to 6 weeks. We'll just have to see. So, all right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Questions, comments from trustees? Updates? Anyone? Anyone want to tell us about any upcoming surgeries? No? Isn't there a song about that? Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, of course we will. All right, thank you very much. If there's nothing further, the time is 5:28 p.m. We are adjourned. Welcome. This is a regularly scheduled meeting of the Jenks City Council. Today is Tuesday, August 18th of 2026. The time is 6 p.m. My name is Corey Box. I will be your chair for tonight. We do have just enough of our members to get underway. So, Mr. Macy, if you could please verify our attendance.
Brown. Here. Short. Emmons.
Here.
OJ. Abel. Murray.
Here.
Mayor Box.
Here. All right, and for tonight's invocation, we welcome back Pastor Tommy Davis from New Directions International right here in Jenks, America. How are you, Pastor?
I am doing well, Mailbox. How are you, sir?
What you got for us tonight?
Well, just a couple of things before I dive into the invocation. First of all, good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Mailbox, council, citizens, leaders, to everyone present, everyone in our community. Good evening to all of you. This Saturday, August 22nd, from 10 to 2, we will be having at NDI our Unity in the Community outreach. It's for the entire community. It's a community-wide giveaway, but we will also be doing a lot of different things, testimonies, music, giveaways, several different things we're doing just to be a blessing to our community. That is from 10 to 2 this Saturday. And then on August 31st, that's a Monday night, from 6 to 7 is our community back to school prayer night. Community back to school night of prayer. So we invited the community to come to both of those events, and we would love to see you all there.
Are you still collecting donations for the community give back?
I am.
There's no deadline for that?
There is no deadline for that. No, sir.
Good.
No, sir.
I got a new weed eater.
Great.
And it's a lot easier to load the string than the old one. And I don't want to watch a YouTube video to figure out how to load the string on the old one. So I'm going to give it to you, my friend.
I would love to have
And
it.
you'll put a note on
Yes.
it to whoever accepts this into their home. You may need to go find a YouTube video of how to load the string into that thing.
We would love to have it. We're taking donations all the way up to the day of the event and beyond. So anytime you all have a donation that you like to give to us, we would love to have it because we're always giving things away all year long. That's what we do. So anytime you have a donation thing, time you want to donate to us, just to disperse to members of the community that are in need, we would love to have it.
Great. Thank you, Pastor.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor. Father, we thank you for this council meeting. We thank you for the business that is at hand. We pray that you would guide this meeting and that it be as pleasing to you as it can be. We also lift up the community of Glenpool to you, Lord, in regard to the explosion that occurred on yesterday. We pray, God, for that community. We thank you, God, that everything's okay. We thank you, God, that you had that situation under control. We thank you, Lord God, that the community is being restored, that the situation is resolved. We just thank you. And we pray, God, for that community. We pray for Glenpool, Bixby, Jenks, all of our surrounding communities, that you just continue to bless us, protect us from all hurt, harm, and danger. Go with us, walk with us, stand by us, lead us, guide us, and we will be forever careful to give you the glory, honor, and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Thank you, Pastor.
Yes, sir.
Remain standing with me if you would, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Thank you. All right, moving on to tonight's Animal Welfare Spotlight. Good evening, sir. It looks like a Benji almost. Young version of Benji.
I believe it's a corgi mix of some type. Picked it up a couple weeks ago, running around one of our local neighborhoods. Yep, smile, say hi. Say hi. Her name is Frappuccino. Forgive me, I don't remember about how old we're guessing. I think we're 6 or 8 months, maybe a year. I really don't remember. But she's one of several dogs we have in the shelter right now. Forgive me if I don't remember the exact numbers, only because they've fluctuated so much lately. But if you're interested in any of them, you can check them up on our Facebook page, Jenks Animal Welfare. If you're interested any further than that, give us a call at 918-299-6311, option 0. You can also email us at animalcontrol@jenksok.org. You guys may remember the gigantic horse dog I had in here last time. She was adopted this past week, so we're excited about that. We took her to an adoption event at Ace, and she was gone a couple days later.
Well,
Somebody came and saw her.
Frappuccino, if that dog can find a home, then
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Well, her sister,
certainly you can.
her sister was adopted at the adoption event actually as well. So
Oh,
yeah,
man.
so we had a successful event. We're very happy with that.
You don't-
So I want to say about a year or so is what I want to say. Honestly, I am terrible at this part of the job.
You guys don't keep twins together, huh?
We try to, but they just they fell in love with the other one. I guess it just suited them better than this one. So, but hey, we believe she's going to go home soon.
What was the other one's name?
Cappuccino. They were basically the same.
You
looking
gave
dog.
somebody a preference on taste, and I mean,
I mean, I prefer a frap over a cap personally, depending on the weather. But Cap had a little bit more tan to her. This one, she's gonna, she's got her whipped cream and everything. Maybe some chocolate in there or something like that. If you prefer. Cappuccino is definitely a little more cappuccino. So yeah, it just kind of made sense.
all right, Frappuccino, we'll see you latte.
Yeah. Say bye to everybody. She's nervous. I am too.
Yeah, we'll put her up there in the camera. This is one of the cutest little dog, wherever the camera is.
How about one right there?
Yeah, the cutest little dog we've seen in a while.
That
I
actually
hope-
raises a question. I know we have a YouTube channel for City of Jenks. Where can I find are these recorded or are they just live? They're working?
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to go find them and share them with my friends. So
Yeah.
try to get more adopted. That's our goal.
Yeah, there
So
you go.
anyway, anything for him at all?
She's chill.
Cat's got her tongue.
Yeah, no kidding. For a youngster.
Well, we appreciate it always, guys.
Ah,
Thank
yes,
you.
sir. Have a good evening. Good luck to you, ma'am. Frappuccino. All right, moving on to citizen comments. This is our portion of the meeting where if you are here and you would like to address the council on a topic of discussion that is not scheduled for tonight's business, you may do so. Just ask that you limit your comments to 3-ish minutes and just give us your name and address and you can juggle, dance, green eggs and ham, whatever you got.
Pass on the juggling and the dancing.
All right.
Tonight.
Good
No one
evening.
wants to see that.
How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jill Henry. I live at 12747 South 4th Street in Jenks. And Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to address the post that you posted earlier today regarding the traffic light at 111th and Elm. So my question for you and for the council is, what percentage of throughput are you attributing to each direction at that light? Additionally, you stated that the people on 111th you felt were waiting longer than those that were sitting on Peoria and Elm. But my question is, were they waiting longer than 30 minutes? Because this morning, I waited 30 minutes to travel 1 mile. So between 121st and 111th, on any given day, now that school has started, it takes 30 minutes to travel that 1 mile. And you also need to understand, I know you mentioned in your post that those people were backed up past the hill by Walmart. I don't know if you travel Elm, but the people on Elm are backed up almost halfway to 131st, sitting at a dead stop, waiting. And the last few days, it has not been Paragon. It hasn't been construction equipment. It hasn't been any of that. It is purely the light at 111th that is completely bringing all of that traffic to a halt. I'm just curious how you know. I know you mentioned that the Jenks Police Department was doing a count or was monitoring in some way the traffic there. But how are you attributing that? Is it a car count? 15 cars go this way, 15 cars go that way. I'm just curious how that all comes together. And basically, you mentioned that you were not willing to prioritize the traffic from north to south. But there are more roads that travel east and west in the city of Jenks than there are that travel north and south. If you live south of 111th, you have exactly 2 options to get north into the city, and that would be Elwood or Elm, neither of which is a great option at this moment. So I'm not asking that traffic be prioritized north-southbound 24 hours a day, but I would beg you to consider doing it during the major rush and commute times in the mornings. I think that one of the things that I noticed and counted this morning was when you are south of 121st on Elm and the traffic is at a stop, by the time you reach the parking lot of Casey's, so that you're literally next door to Casey's, but you haven't yet reached the intersection. This morning it took 3 lights for me to be able to even enter the intersection and cross. Now keep in mind, I'm at Casey's. 3 lights to get across the light because the traffic across is at a dead stop. So I just beg you to reconsider and to look at that. You asked for some citizen feedback, so I thought I would give it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
You bet. And matter of fact, if tonight at the end of this meeting, Mr. Wilkins, as a welcome back to you, my friend, would you be willing to kind of give us a briefing on the last meeting that we had in which about that traffic light? Can you give us an overview of either your recollection or if you have any notes? No. We can do it tonight. Yeah. Fair? All right. Thank you, Mrs. Henry. Anyone else? Citizens' comments? Did we get her address? Where is that? Is that south of 121st or? Okay. Okay. Where do you live?
Yeah, I live in Yorktown.
Okay, perfect. That's all I need to know. Thank you. All right, if there's no one else, we will move on to tonight's agenda. Item number 1 is our consent agenda. Counselors, if you'd like to discuss in any further detail any of the items in item number 1, we can do that right now. If not, we can entertain a motion to approve it as presented.
Motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second. Thank you, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and a second for item 1. Let's vote, please.
Brown. Yes. Emmons.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, sir. We will have no need for item 2. And we'll move on to item 3, which is ordinance 1691, related to Jenks zoning 26-703, which is a request for a zone change from RS1 residential to RD residential duplex. We're talking about a property at 822 North Birch Place. And we are on page 83 if you have an agenda and you'd like to follow along. And I can assume since she's already on her feet, we'll welcome Mrs. Marseille Hilton for the first time this evening. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, council and staff. This is a request for a rezoning from RS1 to RD, which is residential duplex. The applicant is Mr. Tim Walterbach. He does have several small developments in the metro area. He met with us several times. The Planning Commission voted 5-1 to approve this. And he committed personally to limiting the structures to 2 stories. So if you look on page, let's go to page 3 of 8 or page 85. It's showing you a chart that we take straight out of the code. And for a residential duplex, it tells you what's required, what are the setbacks, etc. So the lot area requirement for a unit is 3,450 square feet. So when you take the number of acres and you put that into square feet and then you divide it by that number, that tells you how many units you can have on that lot. This is straight zoning. So the question before you this evening is, what does the comprehensive plan say? And if the comprehensive plan says this is the right fit for that area, and it does, then the next question before you is a residential duplex project appropriate for this area. And staff, with the support of Planning Commission, believes that that is a good project for this area. Mr. Walterbach is not present yet. He may be here any minute, but he's not here yet. So if you look on page 86, there's a project map. So you can see this is a really interesting area because we have across the railroad tracks industrial properties. We have apartments further north. We have a really nice small complex between here and the parcel in between. And then we have single family residential adjacent on the east, and then that turns into a school property and their tennis courts. So there's a lot going on. I really like the figure 3 on page 5 of 8, or 87. This is our new planner, Mr. Carl Fritchen, did the staff report. I love the view of this. I think it really gives you some great context to what's going on in that general area. You can see that residential area, you can see the industrial area. So this is a very unique shape piece of land. The developer would like to maximize his project, but he still would have to meet all the zoning, so the setbacks, etc. If you look on page 89, this is that Jenks Horizon land use plan map, and it is the yellow, which is, it's the medium yellow, and that is high intensity single family, and we specifically do call out duplex projects. With that being said, staff recommends approval. We did hear from the public. There were several neighbors that came and mentioned their concerns. Parking along Birch was one of their concerns. If maybe there wasn't adequate parking, they do have to meet the parking requirements. With that being said, that was really probably the big traffic and parking was the biggest concern that I have in the height of the buildings. And that's it.
Thank you, Mrs. Hilton. First question, what is you just said it. What is the parking requirement for RD? And
I believe I read today you have to provide one parking space either in a garage or on the site for every dwelling unit.
okay. And assuming the council supports this application, are there any next steps? Does it come back to us for any reason?
They do have to plat. Plat goes on consent agenda. It is a very routine function of development. We have a checklist that we look at. It is based on state statute, and if they meet all of those requirements, we put it on consent and move it forward.
But to the public, this will come back to the council for some form of approval?
Yes,
Whether
sir.
it's consent or not, okay. All right. Any questions from council on my right? Any questions on my left, Mr. Murray?
Looking at this, I guess Birch dead ends at this tract of property.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that's going to be their only ingress and egress is just Birch until they get to J Street and then they come back around and stuff. I guess, Chief Ostrom, what does it look like for a fire truck to try to get in there to be able to get in and turn around? Do you have just a guesstimation? I'm throwing you on a spot.
Well, I can answer that. We have shared this with the fire marshal, and they are aware of the conditions. They would have to meet whatever conditions and parameters are established by the fire department, and that would be to be determined. Okay. So can it be solved? Probably. If it cannot be solved, then they can't build the project.
Yeah, because it just kind of looked on one page like there might have been a U there, a circle where they could turn around in, but if this dead ends into the property, that's what I guess I was just kind of questioning, making sure. So, all right, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see the other, there's only one way in and one way out. Right. Yeah, okay. Any other questions from council? I thought I heard somebody there talking. No? Okay. Is the applicant here?
Not yet.
Has he given you an indication when he's going to arrive?
I have not checked my emails since 5 o'clock, but he was aware and he was planning to be here. I don't know if maybe something held him up.
Yeah, I would just let the applicant know. There's our obligation is to find the highest and best use, and clearly the only reasonable use here would be some sort of place for people to live. So no disagreement there. I would just let him know that we'll be paying particular attention to the number of units and the parking. I would be very disappointed if any of these people end up taking the opportunity to park their cars anywhere but inside that triangle. And the gentleman that showed up from out of town, is his father the one who owns is that a trailer?
The parcel between
Yeah.
yes, sir.
Okay. And I can't recall,
He asked if I would publicly state that we were not rezoning his father's property, and we absolutely cannot do that. As far as our notice was for that triangular piece,
Sure.
and that is all that is on the table for discussion, and there's no intention of going beyond that.
So he left satisfied?
He did not find me afterwards, so I guess so.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Mrs. Hilton. Appreciate it.
One question, just
Mr.
to
Brown?
follow up. I know we have to go into preliminary plating and all of the considerations. Just as a verification, again, we will look at the setback requirements off the railroad right away.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
It seems like there's still a number of challenges to be had here. This is,
This is just a land use question.
This
Is this an
doesn't look
appropriate
easy.
place for
Yeah,
duplexes?
yeah.
Yes or no?
okay. Well, in that regard, from the legal standpoint, I have no doubt that I can't imagine anything else being here, but it's okay. Any other questions for Mrs. Hilton when we have her? Thank you, ma'am. We'll close the floor momentarily on the city council. And if anyone would like to speak on behalf of item number 3, this Jenks zoning ordinance, you may do so at this point. The floor is yours. Didn't you speak at the planning commission? Or even friendlier than they are. This is your opportunity. We make jokes, we have fun. No? Okay.
Not with that, I would like to have had some information from Mr. Walterbach. You know, my questions, I think, would be,
Well, if you have a question, yeah. I just don't want you to leave unsatisfied,
oh,
so.
well, I'm not. I do appreciate it, and thank you all
Yeah.
for the opportunity to be here and all.
And if we can start off the way we did last time,
Pamela.
name, address, and the
Yes,
Social
Pamela
Security,
Smith.
credit card, Venmo, and all those good things.
Yeah, right. 908 North Birch Street.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
my back fence lines up directly at the entrance of his property. And so I had a lot of questions. He's got a big turnaround on the one diagram. So I was very interested to see what the layout of these new duplexes. I looked on there and seen his nice little picture of the duplexes that he's built before. Yeah, I think a couple of those units would work nicely back there. My only main concern is, since we got down from the 3 stories, is just the placement in the easements and trying to make sure that let's make to make good homes for people, where they have a good yard and they can call it a home and just not a place to hang their shirts, you know. But the main thing is too with the easements, just not the easements going around the outer edge of the property. There's also sewer and water going down, I think, more through the not the straight middle, but more and more towards the inner property. So just he has lots of challenges, because we would have liked to have bought that about 10 years ago. and so we know the challenges of it, and it's very hard to get a home in there to do what you would like to do with that land. But making sure everything's placed right, and the safety of the roads coming in and out. And there's also going to be a lot of delivery trucks, just not the families living back there. So, because we have a lot of delivery trucks coming to our house, so I know. But thank you all, and I appreciate the opportunity to come and
You're
speak.
very
Thank
welcome.
you.
And don't worry, if there's an easement encroachment, we'll be all over them. Right? She will. We don't like crossing those dotted lines. Okay, the floor is, anyone else would like to speak on behalf of item number 3, ordinance number 1691? RS1 to RD, 822 North Birch. Very well. Floor is closed. Come back to council. Last call. Questions, comments, item 3. Okay, seeing none, we can entertain a motion on item 3.
I make a motion to approve item number 3 as written.
Second.
Thank you both. We have a proper motion and a second on item 3. Let's vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Emmons,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, sir. Okay, moving on to item 4 is ordinance 1692 related to Jenks zoning 26-702. It's a request for a zone change from AG or agriculture to RS1, which is residential. We are over at 11607 South 5th Street. We're on page 96 if you're following along on the page or electronically, and we bring back Mrs. Hilton.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm going to talk about two projects. They are directly related. And Mr. Macy, please correct me. Is this one vote or two? Because I do not remember based on the agenda.
It's two separate ones.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to talk about them because they are same difference. And then you'll have two motions and two actions on these rezoning requests. So we are looking at two properties in Oakwood Estates. They are owned by the Spain family. So these are the people who also own Spain Ranch. And sometime in the future, you'll see a little bit of a change in direction for Spain Ranch, and this kind of begins to tee them up for some of those changes. So what we have is Oakwood Estates was annexed into the city as an agricultural property, which is what state statute requires. Nowadays, we would have asked the applicant to also have on the same agenda a rezoning for the appropriate residential district. That did not happen. So what we have is an entire subdivision of I won't say very small lots, but probably an RS1 size lot that is zoned ag. So every time someone gets ready to build something or change something, they really need to get it rezoned because they can't meet the 40-foot setback in the rear yard, or they're non-conforming and you can't make something more non-conforming, et cetera, et cetera. So the Spain family would like to sell these two parcels, and one is 11607 South 5th. The other one is 11623 South 5th. We have already taken this to Planning Commission. Planning Commission did approve it with no conditions, and they also are doing a lot split. So the lot splits do not come to the city council, so the lot split is approved, but I cannot stamp the deeds to sell the properties until we approve the rezoning. So with that being said, JZ 26702 is for the, I'll say Lot 1, Block 6 of Oakwood Estates. And let's go to, we'll go to page 6 of 13 for the staff report, or we'll say 101 of 179. So this page is showing you 5th Street and 116th that goes east-west across the north. What you'll see is a tiny little sliver, kind of a triangular shaped piece at the very top. That is what is being split from this platted lot. And that little sliver will be combined to Spain Ranch. I can tell you the reason is so that they have control of the of what things look like adjacent to 116th Street, because they own the ranch. It is an event venue, and having that control is very meaningful, very important. If you look on page 7, which is figure 2B, you can see the second property. And north of that second property, they are splitting off a little rectangular piece, and that will also be combined to the ag property. So the triangle and the rectangle get combined to the bulk of Spain Ranch. Those two pieces stay ag. The two houses will be rezoned to RS1. They do meet all the requirements of the RS1 zoning. And without confusing you further, I'm going to tell you that Planning Commission, after much conversation, said, yeah, that's what we should do. And staff supports that. And we are asking you to rezone both of these residential properties per the lot split that was approved by Planning Commission.
Very well. Thank you, Mrs. Hilton. Questions from council? Item number 4. This is mostly administrative when it's all said and done.
Cleaning up some lots. Yep.
Yeah. No questions? All right. Mr. Murray, nothing? Okay. Close the floor to council on item number 4. We can open the floor to the public. Any public member have a comment, question, concern about item 4? Now is the time. Oh, thank you, sir. Okay. Looks like there's no questions or comments from the public. We'll close the floor to the public. We'll come back to item number 4 for a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance on this of 1692, JZ 26702. And I guess we're combining, did you say, Ms. Hilton?
No, let's just
Okay,
keep
just
it.
on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, on 702.
Second.
Okay, proper motion is second to approve item 4, which is ordinance 1692, related to 26-702. Vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Emmons,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, sir. Item 5 is ordinance 1693, related to JZ 26-704. Already previously discussed, but just in case, I'll open the floor. Any questions from council? Seeing none, close the floor to council. Questions, comments from the public? Item number 5, previously discussed. Seeing none, close the floor. Come back to item number 5 and entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion, then we approve ordinance 1693 related to JZ 26704.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Let's vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Emmons,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes, sir. All right, moving on to item number 6. It's ordinance 1694, amending the following articles of Chapter 16 of the Jenks City Code, known as the Jenks Unified Development Ordinance. We're going to be talking about Article 3, which is the base district-specific standards, Article 6, development standards, Article 7, sign standards, and lastly, Article 8, which is the subdivision standards. We are on page 120, if you're following along, and I guess we will invite Mrs. Hilton back.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council. This is additional cleanup. Sometimes we've talked about this. We've probably done at least 4 amendments to our Unified Development Ordinance. We adopted it in 2022. And it's very common to make changes to your ordinances, especially concerning zoning. Part of the reason is as you work through it with your developer community, with your staff, you realize that, this was a good idea when we were working through this, but for our community, it doesn't really fit quite right. So let's make it better, because we don't want to have to constantly push something into a PUD, a planned unit development, because it can't meet the code, but it really should be able to meet the code. So I'm going to give you a high-level review, unless you can stop me now and want the nitty-gritty. So I'll let you vote, nitty-gritty or high-level.
Why don't we go through each article and pause, do a Q&A on each one? So
Okay.
why don't we do that? Break it down into 4 parts, if you don't mind.
Okay, sounds good. So let's look at page 123, which is 2 of 31. So we're going to look at the actual ordinance, and then I'm going to tell you so what we're looking at here is 16-3-1, and that is the table that we refer to all the time in our staff reports, and this is what we refer to when we're having a development meeting. And one of the things that we're changing is the lot width. So for an ag property, and the reason, I'll give you a little context, the reason that we're changing this, in theory, it makes sense not to allow what we call a flag lot. And that's where someone has a little strip for a driveway to get them to the back of a larger property. And so maybe the family, for whatever reason, want to sell maybe the front part, but they want to keep the back part, etc. So it's not really best practice, but because we are really have very little land left, and because we don't want, I would never want someone to have to do a PUD just to get approval to have a flag lot. Does that make sense? So basically what we said is, if you have a flag lot, then you're going to go down here to number 5. It says lot frontage at the public street right-of-way may be reduced to 50 feet so long as the lot is met within an ag district, or the lot area is met within the ag district. So if you meet the other requirements of an ag district, but you need access down to that public street, we're gonna let you do it without having to do a PUD. So that's number 1. There is a number 4. Let me find it. Minimum setback 75 feet. I'm really struggling with that one. Footnotes. Okay, maybe that one was just cleanup. Let's keep going. We'll look at, that was the table. And then on calculating dimensions, on 16-32, it says, this is below the table, and it says lot width exceptions. In the RE and ag districts, only the lot width at the property line may be reduced to 50 feet so long as the lot area. So that basically is that footnote that we have as number 5, but then we add it later in calculating dimensions. Just for clarification, in case someone misses it in the chart, they now have it reinforced in the book. Okay. The next one is 16-34, and this is in regards to footnotes, and this is really just clerical. The next one, so that's what you see at the top of page 3 of 31.
Mr. Mayor, can I ask a question on 1631?
Yes, sir.
On 1631, on the bulk and dimension standards, I did have a couple questions.
Okay.
The first one was, with the flag lots, should we have any limitation on the number of adjacent flag lots that might appear in a development or issue? In other words, say it was in a cul-de-sac, for lack of better terms, how many that we might have adjacent to each other? And then will this have an impact on, if they're building, how far back they need to go if the street side is only going to be 50 feet wide? I think what I was concerned about was driveway spacing, where it might hit the street.
So we allow the driveway to be the width of the garage, but in these cases, we would probably have to just approve it on a case-by-case basis. But they would at least have the right to move forward if they're meeting the lot area, which is a minimum of 2 acres, and for that ag property. So it's a pretty big parcel, so we're not going to get a lot of really, if you had maybe a subdivision that was already going to be estate-sized lots, and maybe they had a cul-de-sac at the end, and then they did allow for lot splits, there's still a lot of other dimensions that they're going to have to meet. So I don't think they're not going to be able to get a lot of flag lots But they might actually be able to go ahead and sell off that frontage and keep the back for themselves.
And that was the other thing where you mentioned about a lot split, because if there's a lot split and somebody's developing on the front half, then they've got to be able to get access to the lot in the back.
Mm-hmm.
So is that going to leave enough room for driveway
The
to get
50
back?
feet, we went with 50 feet. When we did the best practices across the region, a lot of them go as low as 30 feet to literally just accommodate a drive aisle. But we wanted to keep it closer to an actual lot size, so we went with 50 feet requirement. So
I
they
was
should
thinking about a
have,
fire truck being
yeah,
able to
they
get
should
to
have
the back.
adequate, yeah.
Okay, that was all. Thank you.
Oh dear, I may not have remembered where I was. Okay, footnotes. So that's just cleanup. We're gonna go to place of assembly. So this is in the chart, 16-34C, non-residential, and go to page. I should have marked these, sorry. I have the red lines and then I have the other one. Institutional, okay. Hold, please. It's on the first page. Okay, so page 3 of 31. I went right past it. Here we go. Mr. Macy, we'll have to correct the the ordinance because I believe it is the wrong chart.
Are you looking for place of assembly?
Yeah.
It's
It
in
says
there.
SC,
Yeah.
so specific use permit / conditional
Oh.
use. So
Yeah.
I think that is accurate.
It is. There it is. Okay, so there's two options here. There are places, so we looked at best practices again across the region, and we looked at fire code and building inspections for commercial buildings. So what we said right now, if you wanted to have in the downtown core, so this is in the downtown core, if you wanted to have an assembly space, and we define assembly space as it's usually this is an assembly space, except that we have benches, so that does kind of limit how many people can come in here. But an assembly could be a lodge, it could be a venue for events, it could be a church, it could be a lot of things. But it's basically saying I want to have we want the flexibility to have different numbers of people. So currently, the code says a specific use permit is required, and we've had one application come in, and that was when Remax was wanting to use their space also as an assembly use, and we asked them for some parking data, etc. So this allows people on Main Street using their second floor space up to 2,500 square feet. They can have up to 50 people by right. So all they would do is turn in a conditional use permit and say, hey, this room is under 2,500 square feet, and we want you to know that we're wanting to use it as a event space or assembly space. And they would be allowed by right. There's a few conditions, and we would go through that with them. If they wanted to have more than that amount of people, but it was like end of year, they want to have one party, then there's a process with the city to do that. But for a day-to-day operation, as an advertised business, they could do 50 people and 2,500 square feet by right. If they want to go above that, they have the space, then they would need to come back to council for a specific use permit. And we would want them at that point to provide a parking option, etc. So that's the biggest difference, is we give them an allowance to do it by right under so many feet. Thanks for finding that for me. Okay. I think that was all of them in that section. oh, it's not, drive-throughs. So, from day one in 2022, we collectively agreed that drive-throughs, and we're looking at page 5 of 31, that drive-throughs on Main Street were really not the direction that the staff and council wanted to go. As it is, they are still not allowed. And that makes any existing drive-through non-conforming. So if someone wanted to enlarge their space, they wouldn't be allowed. So basically, we have some text here that says if you wanted to enlarge, then you would need to do the following. And let me see where I have that. Drive-throughs are not permitted in the downtown core, so we're reading from page 8 of 31. Existing drive-throughs are non-conforming. Existing buildings with the non-conforming accessory use, so drive-through is an accessory use, may enlarge their current facility under the following conditions with the approval of a conditional use permit. The facades of the building facing a public street are proposed to be upgraded to meet the requirements of the downtown core, supporting the character and purpose of the district. The existing building may not be enlarged greater than 30% of its existing square footage. The parking must be made available to the public after, in this case, bank hours, and the drive-through remains closed during approved special events. All signage, existing and new, shall meet the requirements of the UDO, and any proposed or existing alleys shall be available for public use. So those are the conditions that we talked through with the applicant who came to us, and I had to have a very serious conversation about their nonconformity and their desire to expand. Talking through it with staff, with legal, to see what direction we could go to help them improve their building and get to where they need to go without locating off of Main Street. So this is where we landed, and I think that it seems to meet that. There is someone present to talk if you have specific questions, who actually made the application, but otherwise, that is what we agreed to.
I did have one question on that particular section. The 30% limitation that we placed on existing square footage, because we recognize that the drive-throughs are non-conforming and not desired for consistent development, do we want to put an additional restriction so that any planned construction that would require permitting specifically to the drive-throughs would be prohibited? In other words, let's say you've got an existing drive-through and they say, well, we want to completely change the overhang, or in this particular case where it's ATMs or remote teller type devices, if they're going to completely renovate, would we want to continue to allow that use? In this particular case that raised this issue, the way the building was constructed, it would be very difficult for them to eliminate the drive-through. But if they were going to want to make renovation, would we want to allow that drive-through use to continue? Are you following me?
I might have gotten lost.
Yeah, let me restate
Are you
it.
saying if there's any proposed change, we will not allow a proposed change to the drive-through?
If the proposed change is to the drive-through itself, it has to be permitted. Because in this particular case, what's a detriment to the applicant or to the property involved is the cost dealing with the existing drive-through. But if they're going to go to the cost of some major renovation to the drive-through, would we want to continue to allow the drive-through to exist? Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So I think that's a decision that you would have to think through and let me know. I think I'm comfortable with the way that it is written. It allows you 30% increase in your building. It doesn't allow you specifically any increase in the drive-through, in the accessory use. It's just attached to the accessory use.
And again, that's what kind of raised the question. What if they wanted to extend the drive-through, if that was part of the 30%? So do we want to put a limitation that?
I would personally interpret it that they could not improve or make the drive-through larger, because that is the non-conforming part of it, and we are allowing the building attached to the nonconformity to be improved, but not, you can improve the drive-through, for instance, the cover, et cetera, but you could not expand the drive-through.
And this is the last drive-through.
Yeah.
Is this the only one?
It's the only one, so,
So, yeah, John, the drive-through is the only thing that's not
Do you have any thoughts?
non-conformant, so I would naturally assume that there would be no modifications allowed to the drive-through. Are you asking that this be rewritten to be explicitly clear beyond the crystal?
I would just include the language in here that, that the existing building may not be enlarged greater than 30%, excluding the existing drive-through. In other words, any exceptions would exclude exceptions to the drive-through area.
Okay, I think that's fine.
So we're talking about adding a sentence or two?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that. Hopefully we have to never deal with another drive-through.
well, they're not allowed, so.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I added that. Did you get that, Mr. Macy? Thank you.
So we're still in section 1, right? Is this a good time to, is that the only question we had related to those items? Okay. All right, now let's proceed.
Okay, section 16.35, downtown core district specific standards. This is, we moved the landscaping portion over that was applicable, and this will be on page, I keep going too far, like. Okay, 16-63, it is specifically regarding the landscaping. And repealed and attachment A, so you'll be able to see there at the end, the attachment A, so there's changes to that. And then you have storefront awnings. So we have added language that kind of gives more direction to what the awnings can and cannot look like. And this would be more in line with the Main Street program, which we are now part of the National Main Street program. So this would be more in line with that. And let me see what else we got here.
So can I jump in on the landscaping questions?
Yes, sir.
And as I read through the UDO, my emphasis was unintended consequences on the changes, and I liked some of the thought that went into the landscaping, but I did have about 5 items that came to mind. First one that came up was on the percentage, the required percentage of shrubs, flowers, ground cover being calculated. How is that being calculated? Is it the lot size, or are we including or excluding driveways and walkways in that percentage?
Are you going to have multiple landscaping questions?
Yeah, that was question number 1. The second question was...
Hang on one second. I am going to defer this section. Our planner, who is present this evening, that is part of our staff, is the author of this. He's also a landscape architect.
Correct.
And since he has done it as a consultant, he has done it as a professional, and he has reviewed hundreds of documents as a planner. I will let him answer these questions for you.
Okay.
Can you formally introduce this young man, since it's the first time we're ever seeing him speak at the microphone?
Have we not brought him before?
Oh, I just met him tonight.
Well, Mr. Carl
Officially.
Fridgen from...
There's a whole world out there on YouTube watching,
I thought there
thousands
was
and
one
thousands.
time at least.
People.
Here's the red one. This is Mr. Carl Fridgen. He is coming to us with 30 years of experience.
Don't remind me.
He's been doing it longer than me.
Nice
Well,
work.
Thank you.
Nice work on the revisions, by the way.
Thank you. So I'll try to field any questions right now, or I can go kind of highlight this section, however you want to do that.
Okay, and I'll give you the rest of the questions I had, and and we can either, try to pass this through, or we can defer these sections. But, okay, so the first question was, again, on the percentage of landscaping, shrubs, flowers, ground cover, are we including driveways, walkways in the percentage calculation, or is it strictly the landscaped area? What would be?
What specific section are you looking at?
Again, we were at 16.3.
Yeah, what are you reading from?
16.6.3.
Okay, what letter
page 16.
under
And
that?
these were in attachment A, I believe. Yeah, these are all attachment A.
Is that page 16, Mr. Brown?
Let me get to that. Attachment A starts at 153 of 179, or 1 of 20, 1 of 25. Oh, sorry, that's sign standards. My bad.
But is it referring to the street yard or the foundation plantings? I guess that'll help me kind of find it in this document here.
Let me go back here. It was dealing with the percentage of the required percentage of shrubs, flowers, landscape covering, ground covering, the calculation. 138?
The building foundation.
I'm guessing it's page 18 of 31 is item 3 on
seven.
page 18.
Is it 18?
I see the percent, the word percent. So we're all 100%
Yes,
lost.
17 of 31. Required landscape zones,
Okay, 17.
25% of reduction, overall required amount of landscape material not visible is where the percentage changed.
Yeah, and to answer your question, that's going to be dealing strictly with the landscape area.
Okay.
So,
Next question, it just came up, and it deals with the drought we're in right now. Maybe, forgive me if I get the pronunciation wrong, xeriscaping, where we're looking at water conservative type of landscaping. Are we including that in what we're going to call class acceptable landscaping?
yeah, I think we tried to build in some flexibility for just those type of elements.
Next thing it came up, if a required tree or plant dies after occupancy, are we going to be looking at the homeowners to have a requirement to replace it? And what do we get in the way of enforceability on that?
Technically, yes, they would have to replace the tree, and it would be basically if somebody reported it, then we would have to address it.
A lot of HOA covenants have the same requirement that mirrors whatever our requirements were, but that's one control.
And I guess areas around the city that are not included in there right now, where these were not in place before, they're going to be grandfathered in.
Yes, sir.
I'm aware of a couple of properties in Ward 1 where the occupants or residents basically did not want to do any landscaping, and they have the front yard loaded with all kinds of trees specifically to prevent grass. And I always have concerns about what that's doing to potential water lines. I also have noted in a couple of the newer developments, where in looking at the list of trees that we have prohibited, there are certain types of trees that I'm seeing that have gone in. I'll give you a perfect example, and we have a resident arborist expert sitting to my left. When we look at the space that's required on the front yard for placement of a tree, I saw one new home that had a small silver maple planted within 3 to 4 feet of the front patio, or the front, I guess, the concrete. And you and I both know what that's going to do in 15 to 20 years. It's going to lift that concrete up. It's going to be hanging over, and it's going to be all kinds of problems. Are we looking at any type of inspection on the types of trees that are going in to make sure that we don't run into these kinds of issues?
Well, you can't always dictate common sense in many situations. We hope with these regulations and the graphics that have been introduced, they have some sense of where to place these trees on the lot. Additionally, with the new GovWell software, if a building permit comes in, and I've already reviewed about 5 of these so far, I do make comments to the effect that these trees are required. Please keep them, such and such away from this or that. So I think there's several other ways to to address those on the front end. But are we going to catch everything? Probably not. If they stay away from those prohibited species, I think they're going to be in better shape. Certainly with things like Bradford pears, silver maples, box elders, things like that.
Yeah, I had, when we bought our first home, I always thought I wanted silver maples until I had them. And yeah, anyway, that's another story. Also, when it comes to, I noticed we're looking at the occupancy permits. If a development's going in, houses are going in, if the house is being built and landscaping is being done off-season, are we going to withhold the occupancy permits because it's not the optimal time to plant?
Yeah, the way we've typically handled that, at least from my experience also in Owasso, if somebody wanted to delay the planting for whatever reason, typically it's in the summertime when it's real hot. We're okay with doing that. Just send us a letter saying, yes, we understand we're not going to be able to install this right now. We will install it, however, by this date, so that we have some record of that and some way to go verify it.
Okay, and those were the big things that stood out for me. Thank you, I appreciate that.
You may not realize it, but you just got initiated with 4 to 5 John Brown questions on your very first day. Your boss
He threw some
your boss
softballs.
threw you to the wolves.
I've had worse. That was softball questions.
That look on your face is the look when John Brown starts getting into the details.
Well, if you have any landscaping questions, you know where to find me.
I appreciate it, thanks.
All right, thanks.
My neighbor calls the silver maples that our HOA planted in their infinite wisdom junk trees. And now I have to get a quote to have most of them removed.
And you got surface roots.
I got lots of problems, Mr. Vice Mayor.
Thank you.
Among others, surface roots. Where are we? Are we
16.7-5 sign standards.
okay?
Okay. So on the sign standards, in the chart on page 156 of 79, clarifying once again where pole signs may or may not be located. And when you think of a pole sign, think of Quick Trip coming down the interstate at 89 miles per hour, and you really need gas, and you're very happy to see that 45-foot sign with a little box on top. That's what we're talking about. And they need to be within 300 feet of a highway, interstate, etc. So we did, if you'll remember, a few months ago, make some allowances. We allowed the properties adjacent to Highway 75, if you were 500 feet, we allowed them to have taller monument signs and taller multi-tenant monument signs, kind of trying to get them away from the pole sign, but also encouraging them to do a nicer sign and give them a lot more height. And we had gone back and looked at the previous zoning code and tried to kind of marry both of those. So that's what you're basically looking at there. We added cabinet signs because they previously were not in the code as a definition. Let's go to... There's a couple of other things. There was a lot of cleanup, so there's a lot of lines touched. I won't get into all of them. There were some inconsistencies, so sometimes the number 2 was used and the word 2 was not used, and sometimes it was the word 2 and not the number 2, so I tried to go through and clean all that. So if you had the red line version, you would see that. The blade sign kind of just clean that up. There's a definition we needed to clarify. Temporary signs. This Montgomery has had many questions about this, and sometimes I've been more confused after our conversations than before the conversation. So I will try to help you understand and answer any outstanding, as in unanswered questions that she had up until this afternoon. So on a temporary sign, and we're basically saying these are signs that are not meant to be up forever. All right? This is temporary. So, makes sense. The code now would say, and let's look at page 13? Did someone say 13?
14.
14. Okay, page 14 of 25 or 166. So the number of signs, the number of temporary signs permitted are allowed as per table 1674, and unless it is otherwise specified. A maximum of 2 signs. So basically, if I want to have a temporary sign, I could. It's at the bottom. It's 16-7-6 temporary sign standards A1. I could have a banner sign, and I could have a feather sign if I was McDonald's. We'll use McDonald's, not a residential lot. So based on my permit, etc., I can have 2 temporary signs at one time, and they could be different types, right? So I might have a big sign that says hiring now, and then I might have a little sign that says get your tasty treat immediately, something like that. See what I'm saying? You can have 2. Okay, you can pick, it's a little smorgasbord. You can pick whichever temporary sign you want to have. If you look on page 170 or 167, it starts talking about different types of temporary signs. Go to page 170, and I just want to clarify this. So yard signs are allowed in almost every district. All but the downtown core, because most of the time you don't have a yard. The downtown transition, you might have a yard, so that might be an issue, but unless someone's complaining, it's probably not. So in a yard, with a yard sign, so remember that first sentence says you can have 2 unless otherwise permitted. So up until now, everything says you can have 1, but we all know you can have 2 because the first sentence said you could have 2. So I can have 2 signs. But now a yard sign. So basically, you could have up to 5 yard signs concurrently for a period of 45 consecutive days. And the reason we allow that is, the thought, I'm not going to say the reason we allow it. The thought behind allowing that is if you have something very important in November and you want everybody to know what you think about it, then you can put up your 5 favorite signs for 45 days. The end. You can do that. You can put up as many signs as you want for 48 hours. And the thought behind that, there were 2 thoughts, and it's usually weekends, but those 2 thoughts were, you see the little bubble letters or something. Each little letter is on a stick, so that's a sign. So if I said congratulations on your baby boy, on our baby boy, whatever, that's a bunch of letters, a bunch of signs. You can keep those up for 48 hours. Unless your neighbor calls code enforcement, probably nobody knows if it's up for more than 48 hours, but you got 48 hours by the city before we're going to tell you to take them down, if someone complains. The other thought was the city or the school does their fundraiser, and they can put those little signs up. They have 48 hours. They don't have to get anything special. They can put unlimited number of signs, and that was the thought behind that regulation. So
The 100 signs that take state.
yeah.
Along the street, yeah.
Yeah. So that was the thought. So I hope Ms. Montgomery understands, and I hope I made that clear. Okay, I don't think there's anything. Let me look through sign code to see if there was
I
anything
had a couple
else.
questions on the temporary signs.
Okay, hit me.
So after the 45-day sign period expires and signs are removed, when may the property owner then go back and put up 5 more signs? Is there? I saw something about a 14-day period non-concurrent of displays that were in there. So is this again something code enforcement's going to have to follow up on?
If someone was creating a nuisance and someone complained, then they would say, hey, you can't do this. You have to have a 14-day break, blah, blah, blah.
Okay. And this has no bearing whatsoever on the small commercial companies that decide they want to litter the city with signs on right-of-ways.
Oh, it has that. You cannot do that.
Utility poles.
Right.
Right, so those are still considered illegal
Trash. Yeah.
under the code.
It's illegal.
Okay, very good, thank you. Hopefully Dr. West heard that.
This
there
is
with you.
for your private property, whether you're a business owner and you have private property and you have a small front yard, large front yard, you can do these for temporary purposes, or if you are a homeowner, landowner, etc., you have the right to put up signs under these conditions.
So will there be some type of a fine imposed by code enforcement then for noncompliance?
The process has not been fully vetted, but right now they get a letter or they're contacted by code enforcement and asked to remove them. And most people have removed them quickly.
That's all I had on signs. Thank you.
Okay. And then the last thing that was signs, and I think our last area is the general design standards, which is 1683. And let me back up. So in 1683, starting, it talks about general design standards, and then section 1683A shall be amended as follows. And this is talking about traffic calming devices, the use of traffic calming devices such as raised intersections, landscape bulb outs, and traffic circles, or other similar methods may be required as alternatives to traditional traffic control measures. The city engineer is authorized to require traffic calming devices depending on the context of the area, or if they provide an enhanced public safety benefit over conventional traffic control. So really just saying, a lot of times we have conversations when we're looking at a site plan, and we're like, wow, we're not opposed to the subdivision, but that's a really long street, and we understand why it's there, but what can you do to slow traffic down? So this gives the city a few more options based on the insight that our city engineers have in regards to traffic. Also, there's some changes to sidewalks and basically cleaning up how to get some relief without having to do a PUD or things like that. So really trying to create a path forward and a little bit of flexibility with some staff help. Again, when you're looking at table 16-8-8H, it says, it used to say 16, so a primary arterial. So also, let me just say, we use INCOG for our standards, but the exhibits in the design criteria, engineering design criteria, and the UDO and INCOG didn't all match, so we kind of just went in and said, cleaned it up, said this is what we're striving for, and there is some flexibility built into it so that, again, we don't want someone to have to do a PUD just because they can't meet a standard that is really more related to engineering. That just continues when you go through the charts. And Mr. Fritchen worked really hard to create some new exhibits that explain better what the language of the UDO actually said. And that is the end of the nitty-gritty.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Hilton. Questions or comments, gentlemen? I thought that was a lot. Mr. Murray?
Yeah, there's a part, I guess, that got skipped over I was going to ask about on page 21 of 25. Talks about prohibited signs and content. Two of them that just kind of came to light was like signs with flashing lights and inflatable shapes. So many times a new business puts those inflatables out and the guys blowing up and the arms and everything else. Is that what we're saying is not
Yes,
going to
sir.
be allowed?
It never was.
I'm sorry?
It never was. Not since 2022.
Okay, I see them around other towns, I just didn't know.
Yes.
But the flashing lights, I've seen some businesses that have where it says business is open and it flashes and changes colors. And the business I'm thinking of is no longer a business, but I didn't know if we did not allow that. It was allowed at one point, maybe not.
I think the small signs that say we're open is more kind of directional, and we wouldn't really be regulating that. It's really when you have a sign on a building or something that's flashing with a light,
Right, okay.
something like that.
Okay. And I guess my other question, kind of when going through the landscape and not really, I guess, catching a lot of that and understanding, are we saying residents are going to only be allowed to plant certain trees? Are we telling residents what they can and cannot plant?
There are some requirements or direction for them. If someone wanted to plant something else, they could certainly ask. I don't think it would be a big deal. I don't feel like
But they don't have to come to the city to be permitted to do it?
So when a subdivision is built now, we have that conversation with the developer in advance. So we have a pre-development meeting. We're like, hey, we need you to pay attention to these elements of the code and let us know if there's any issues. As you know, most of our residential development is a PUD. And so if someone really, really, really wanted 16 large oaks and they had the property and thing, they could just ask us and we could have that conversation. And if it required anything, we can take care of it. We're not going to tell people what trees, like specifically, like you just can't do that.
I thought the issue is you have to plant a tree.
Yeah.
Correct.
And if you want to plant more than one tree, have at it, plant whatever you want. But I think the specificity is you can't plant a shrub and call it a tree. So it's trying to be specific in what is a tree, but it's not.
Canopy tree versus shrub.
Yeah, it's not talking about you can't plant these types of trees. I think it's trying to define what is a tree.
And we had previously said you need to have this type of tree and it needs to be a 40-foot canopy tree. Well, States at Ritz Hollow really didn't want that large of a tree. And so we said, well, if you don't want that large of a tree, then you can do 3 smaller canopy trees, et cetera. So just giving some flexibility and then kind of guiding them. This is considered, these types of trees are canopy trees, but if you wanted to take a chance on a different kind, it wouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Just the way it was sounding is that we're going to be requiring residents, telling them what they can and cannot plant. And that just kind of concerned me. I
think that's what the vice mayor was
alluding to.
He was
Yeah.
There are some prohibited trees that are on the list, though, like cottonwoods, for example.
And then the HOA, if it's a new neighborhood, can create covenants and that probably mirror the guidelines that we would like for them. And at that point, I would think the HOA could enforce the new homeowner planting 7 silver maple trees in their front yard. That's probably not a great idea. Am I to understand that you guys are giving special treatment to the estates at Ritz-Carlton?
Ritz Hollow?
Whatever they're called?
No, to Ritz-Carlton for sure.
You don't need to answer that question publicly.
No, it's just something that, it's like your question tonight, something you don't think of. Like, I couldn't imagine someone not wanting a street tree.
Yeah.
Like, I kept every tree possible when we built our home. Regretted most of them later, but 20 years later, half of them are gone. But at the moment, they all felt very important. So I couldn't imagine someone not wanting a street tree. But actually, there are people who don't. And I think that it's a good conversation to have and kind of to know your market when you're getting a development done. So any prohibitions are based on the ability of that tree to thrive for the most part. Mr. Fritchen might have more clarification on that. There's a lot of trees that should not be planted. I think we all understand the Bradford pear conundrum, and there are other trees like that would be not recommended, but not because you couldn't do it per se. If we had the conversation, go ahead.
On the topic of prohibited trees, I did not have in here silver maple, but I would be happy to add that if the council so chooses.
And when we say prohibited tree, we are saying a silver maple doesn't count as the tree. Because this is about, single-family lot requirements, street trees, the requirement shall be determined. You shall have at least one tree on a lot less than 70 feet.
Correct.
And so when we say prohibited tree, are we saying,
I can't believe the government gets to make
I
these
mean,
kind of decisions.
we're not,
You can't select from that list there.
Okay.
Any other tree, if you want to put an oak tree in, that's fine.
but you can plant the tree,
Yeah.
but that doesn't count as your one tree.
Yeah, so you have to, yeah. I'm following that line of thinking. And Craig,
that
I
make
agree with
sense?
you. I don't want to grow the size of government and start having a tree monitors. And I mean, we all know there's trees that are detrimental. I mean, just in the same way, if you go fishing at the pond here at the aquarium, and if the guy was watching you and you catch a white perch and you throw it back in, they will scream at you and tell you to go catch it again, and they'll kill it right there on the side of the bank. There's bad fish, and apparently there's bad trees, but if an HOA has a 2-inch tree requirement in the front yard at a minimum, they should probably not be one of the trees that's on the naughty tree list. And then in the backyard, they can plant all the other naughty trees that they want. And I still think it's hilarious that we get to talk about these things.
So that's clear that
Yeah,
we're talking about counting the one tree, we have exclusions. But that's not to say you cannot plant that tree. That just won't count as your one tree.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I would assume yes, and this also applies to commercial as well. So Tulsa has a much more robust list than this. I think they have a few more prohibited trees on their list than I do, or this one does.
so we're not out of line here in comparison to our neighbors? Okay, well, I feel,
Because cottonwoods naturally grow.
And they
in
produce the
Jenks
puffy
and-
seeds.
Correct, but they naturally grow all over Oklahoma.
Yep.
bad for pools too. You okay with that, Mr. Murray?
Just was wanting to make sure that we're not dictating what people have to plant or can't plant. I just kind of wanted to make sure we're not being a big brother to telling them, here's what you've got to have in your yard. So,
Okay, I'm good. Thank you, sir.
Should we go over this all again?
Now that we've gone through it once, can you just summarize it? You said something about a sign earlier. I got a sign for you. Okay. Last call for council. Questions on item number 6, amendments to the UDO. All right, seeing. Oh, yeah. Oh, my goodness. Okay, no questions from the council. We will close the floor momentarily. We can invite questions or comments from the public. Item number 6. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Evening. Greg Helms, 424 East Main Street. I'm not here for the bank question. But we're not expanding the drive-through. We're just doing aesthetic stuff to the bank. I don't remember which item it was, the one about assembly downtown. The 50 occupant limit, I would recommend to council to limit that to 49. Building code and fire code totally changes at 50 people from 49 people. So I would not want you guys to inadvertently cause someone to allow 50 people that automatically requires them to have second set of stairs, all sorts of other stuff. But at 49, you're good. 49.1, you're not. So.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Charlotte Montgomery, 10612 South Fir Avenue. I had a question, or maybe it's more of a comment on assembly related to the RE/MAX. Most of the concern was about parking And so from what I'm understanding, what I'm reading is that parking is not part of that conversation up to 49. Okay. Because I know that was a big deal. Well, does that interfere with other restaurants and stuff like that? So, okay. Going on to landscaping. Part of the concern, well, actually it was more than part, but a big concern that we had at Ritz Hollow was that the lot setbacks are 20 foot. And if you put a large canopy tree on there and you look at the definition of how wide that spread is, and you take a look at that under what's proposed, it sits back 15 feet. Okay, so you're looking at a tree in the middle of your front yard. And if the tree goes to full maturity, 40-foot length, 20 on each side, you're going to have tree limbs in your roof. And so that was one of the big concerns that we had, is it had to be a large canopy tree. And it's not going to work on what you're approving for PUDs. Almost all the PUDs that come through have a 20-foot front yard setback. They don't fit. And so some of us, and then except myself on the board, no one wants a canopy tree because it sheds leaves. And I can tell you that right now, pretty much everybody in the neighborhood, they don't want to rake leaves. So they wanted to have other options. So the option that was brought up was having an evergreen tree. And I think this way people have some options and choices, because we all, some people want onions on their hamburgers, some people want cheese, and so now they can have whatever they want on their hamburger. So I wanted to clarify that the main concern that we had was the requirement originally of a large canopy tree. It does not fit on what you're approving for PUDs in the front yard. Got it? Okay. And then on signs, I still have a question. It would be on page 14, where it's section 1676, and it's temporary sign standards. And you actually see the beginning of the heading on A2, display period, and you flip to the next page and it says concurrent display may be established, regulated, and enforced by private covenants and or HOA. I am still confused. Is this the provision that rules all the other provisions in signs? In other words, for yard signs, if our HOA establishes that you can only have 2 yard signs and you can only have them up for 2 weeks, can we do that, or is the default what's in the yard signs? That's still unclear to me. If the HOA can really...
The HOA can be more restrictive.
Okay, I don't know. I was not reading that. Because it only makes that statement, and again, I'm thinking, does this rule over all the other provisions in here?
I think it's a minimum standard.
HOAs can be more restrictive than anything that's in the code, because you're buying a piece of property and joining an organization. Just like most of the HOAs have been more restrictive than any ordinance that the city has related to building materials, related to roof pitches, related to, before we ever had landscape requirements, HOAs have had landscape requirements for each lot. So to that end, they can be more restrictive.
Okay, and again, related to that, it's only applicable to on the table what is permitted, correct? In other words, I can't go say, well, I can have a pole sign. It has to be on the table that it's permitted,
Yeah,
that I can
yeah.
control, okay? And it doesn't apply to content, correct? Correct. It can apply to location, size, my right as an HOA.
Well, as an HOA, you weren't subject to the same requirements as the government, so say that maybe content is on the table. Now,
Yeah.
as far as a deed restriction that we're gonna sign off on,
Okay.
the HOA, not your attorney, but I think content might be on the table for the HOA.
Yeah, I don't even want to go there on that one. But otherwise, we can do our rules and standards and guidelines for the HOA and specify in there what we want. Okay.
So if I heard you correctly, you asked for a change in that you do not want a requirement for a 40-foot something or another type of tree. And you were asking.
We made that amendment.
They give us in landscaping, they give us now a choice. You can have a choice in the front yard, one large canopy, one small canopy, or an evergreen.
So you are asking us to make no changes. Those were comments and questions?
Yes, I was answering your comment about us being special. We are special, but no.
And you can put up any sign you want in your yard that says any number of bad things, and we just trust that you work it out with Mr. Cohen and your neighbor.
Yeah. My main question that I was confused on was the sign.
Yeah.
But I was clarifying on the landscaping that many people nowadays, we want to drive places, and we really want to see these beautiful tree-lined streets, but we don't want it in our yard because we don't want
Well,
to
Mrs.
rake them.
Montgomery, if you don't want to rake leaves, we have a Hyde Park. There's a number of great options where people don't have to do any work. But we could build one of those in Jenks. We could all relocate.
Well, I was the lone dissent. I want to see the trees, but apparently most of my neighbors do not.
Well, I wish you well battling your neighbors for the. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But that's all the comments I had. Thank you for
Thank you,
answering
Mrs.
that.
Montgomery. All right, thank you so much. Appreciate your questions and comments. We'll close the floor to the public, and we will come back to item number 6, which is ordinance 1694. Last call, questions, comments from council. If you have one, light your mic. If not, we can entertain a motion for some sort of decision on 6.
I make a motion that we accept the UDO as proposed with the revisions that were discussed, and specifically the last one also mentioned changing the downtown core specific use standards from 50 to 49 on the count for occupancy.
You're pretty clear on that, Mr. Macy? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have proper motion second on item 6. Let's vote, please.
Brown,
Yes.
Emmons,
Yes.
Murray,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes. Item 7 is the emergency clause for ordinance 1694, making it effective immediately upon passage, since the immediate operations of the provisions of the ordinance are necessary for the preservation of public health and safety. Is there anyone who has any?
We don't have enough
Oh,
members.
we're right. We don't even have 6, do we? Very well. For lack of the needed supermajority, we will pull item number 7. Thank you, gentlemen. Moving on to other business. Number 1, the city manager's report. Mr. Shrout.
Mayor and all members of council, the August sales and use tax numbers were more encouraging than the July sales and use tax numbers. The sales tax collection check was 2% more than the same month last year. The use tax collection check was 19% more than the same month last year. The total sales and use tax check for the month was 5% more. This sales and use tax check was the 3rd largest in history. So we rebounded from last month where we were down 10% year over year. South Elm widening Phase 1, there's two items that we've had discussions with residents about that I think they thought that were in the plan, that one was taken out and one was never included in the contract award. The first is the 116th Street Trail. Staff is working with the design engineer and contractor to find a way to include the 116th Trail from Elm Street going east on the south side of 116th. This was a part of the originally awarded contract but was removed mid-project after a water line was found beneath where the trail was supposed to be constructed. Staff is reviewing alternative construction options, and the bottom line is we plan to build this trail. 116th Street and Elm intersection signalization. The signalized intersection was not included in the awarded project contract. However, the design engineer on the project did produce plans for a signalized intersection at this location. Staff is working with the original plans and is engaged with Garver Engineering to complete the plans for the intersection. We hope to be able to complete design, bid, and award a contract in time to construct the signalized intersection within the overall project timeline, but that's yet to be determined based on Garver's timeline on finishing up the design of that project. FC Tulsa, the Tulsa's soccer team, has reached out to us and they hope to do a dedicated City of Jenks night at one of the remaining home games this season. They are working with staff to select a specific game. As part of the promotion, the city, citizens, and businesses would be highlighted before, during, and after the game. In addition to this, our communications director, Katie Butterfield, put together a wonderful city manager report that has detail from the Elm Street widening project, the 121st Street Trail, numerous public works projects such as the striping that has been done on 111th and Highway 75, Elm Street and the Creek Turnpike intersection, 111th Street and Elm Street near Walmart, and 106th Street west of Elm Street. In addition, Public Works did work on the pedestrian bridge, on the 96th Street Bridge before school started. They're working on renovations at their headquarters and satellite facility. Parks-wise, we put 2 new swing sets at Central Park. We also put a new swing set on the north side of the fire station, which we call C Street Park. In addition to that, Barry's thinking ahead and working on implementing a brine system for winter weather. We currently pre-treat streets with salt, and it makes a big mess. Barry's working with the city of Tulsa, who produces brine and actually sells it to, I think, Broken Arrow and a couple other cities. Barry's hoping to get a contract with the city of Tulsa so that we can pre-treat our streets with brine during winter weather. If you turn to the next page, in addition, more parks updates. We have a picture of Lions Park, where we've done a significant amount of work over the last 5 to 10 years, but they're putting in new mulch in the playground area. You see the Central Park swing sets, the C Street swing set. We'll be adding a new swing set at Copperfield Park at 114th and Mulberry Lane. The public safety departments have had a very exciting couple days with the fire by the airport overnight. I believe that was August 17th overnight. And then that very next morning, the 2, I guess, gasoline storage tanks at the Glenpool facility caught on fire and exploded. And I think we were first on scene at the Tulsa fire, providing mutual automatic aid. And then we provided resources to Glenpool during the fire that was going on at that storage facility. We have a new building and contractor portal GovWell. Went live on July 21st. It can be accessed on the homepage at jinx.com. This new portal for building and contractor registration will streamline tracking, request project status, paying fees, and schedule visits, receiving answers to your questions, and more. Staff is planning an instructional video for the new portal and will place on the city's YouTube channel. Some of us attended the grand opening of the renovated Jenks Freshman Academy. After 4 phases of renovation and expansion over the last 6 years, Jenks students, administrators, and staff cut the ribbon and officially opened the building less than 48 hours before the start of the 2026-2027 school year. The facility is able to accommodate more than 1,000 students. It's 134,000 square feet and has 55 classrooms, a new library, a commons area for students to congregate, study spaces, and the district's first FEMA-rated tornado shelter. Then some upcoming events. We have the August Jenks Chamber Luncheon featuring speaker Mike Collier, the chief meteorologist, former chief meteorologist and founder of MCWX Weather Network. We have the Leadership Jenks Class of 39 kickoff reception on Tuesday, August 25th from 3 to 5. And we have the Network Jenks After Hours and the Chamber Intercity Visit to Summerville, South Carolina. And then we have a Jenks Take Back event at the Tulsa Premium Outlets. So thank you, Katie, for putting this together. Thank you to the departments for providing the information. I think there's significantly more information and pictures, and we will continue to improve the report.
Will this be incorporated within the official digital record that's online?
We will.
Thank you.
And how often can we expect a report like this, Mr. Shroud?
Well, ideally once a month.
Okay. You know, once we have a report like this, it's hard to go back to the other reports. I mean, I almost kind of wish you never would have showed it to us unless we can guarantee that we get it every month.
Well, you will get it every month.
Fantastic.
I was just trying to say not every 2 weeks.
Fantastic. Is it possible for contractors to register their intent to be a vendor for the city of Jenks on this portal? Yes or no?
Tanner will answer that question tomorrow.
All right. Very well. Anything else, Mr. Shrout?
No, sir.
Okay. Before we adjourn, Mr. Wilkins, can you provide a summary of the?
Can I ask?
Yes.
So, whereas Barry, I guess I contacted you about the weed eating around all the flagging on 116th. If it's going to be the delayed, can that flagging be pulled up?
What are we talking about?
Well, on 116th on the north side of First Baptist.
The locates.
The locating flagging, that it was not being mowed around, and I contacted Barry about it. He sent someone out from the crew to weed eat around it. But if it's going to be delayed or removed because of the water line, can that flagging be pulled up so it can be mowed on a regular basis?
We did ask the contractor if we could pull those up because actually they expire after a certain amount of time if you don't use them. And they were a little bit reluctant, but I say yes.
Okay.
And yes, it's been a
You'll check
nuisance.
on that then?
I will check on that.
Thank you, sir.
Is there a good reason for the reluctancy? We don't want to influence bad decisions because of weed eating, but if you disagree,
I disagree.
let us know.
I think, yes.
You leave this, you want them left there?
No, I want them removed.
Okay.
No, we're removing
Okay,
them.
you
I
are.
want
Okay.
them removed.
All right.
I drive that street. So.
Okay.
And it just looks bad. I know it's difficult for your guys to maintain the
Yeah,
facility.
well, I didn't
This is a
realize
great place.
the project had been kind of shelved because of the water line. I didn't realize
Well,
that
it's
was
a
under
trail.
there. So if it's flagged and it's over a water line, obviously it's going to have to be reflagged.
Right.
That's kind of why I was asking.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
We'll get you a definitive answer on that.
Yeah.
I talked to the contractor about that. We were talking about that the other day.
And while you're here, instead of me giving my report, would you mind sharing your thoughts on the meeting we had last week related to the signalization, just pros and cons, some of the red flags we talked about?
Some of the red flags that I did speak about was that, the traffic flow, we are getting an assessment of the traffic flow, the traffic count, looking at how would that disrupt the traffic. Right now, I'm asking for two things. One is for the preliminary, before the street's fixed. Let's say if it is not completed and the lights go up, basically, would we want to implement it now when we're down to 2 lanes? I say, no. This is Anthony speaking at this point, Citizen Anthony. But once we're back to 4 lanes, 5 lanes, I think the light would be okay. We have enough time, and the lights are smart. Well, we're smart enough to go through and look at the timing on the lights. We can, it's 21st century. We got lights that can look at the cars that are stopped at the intersection and turn on. Will it work all the time? 95% of the time. So I would recommend, that was my biggest issue, is having a light mid-block, mid-mile section with a main arterial and nothing to disrupt that flow. Because that is a major flow in and out, like the citizen before said, that, north-south streets, yeah, but our main streets, we got a couple of them that are north-south that bring traffic in and out of Jenks. So we have to be very sensitive to that on Elm Street.
Is it your opinion that all the parties present at the meeting that we should not make a change to the signal timing? Let's be honest with you, that meeting wouldn't have happened if I hadn't called for it.
That's correct.
I called for it because 4 or 5 people asked me to. That's okay. And then what I didn't realize is this is not just about turning a switch and giving 15 more seconds. The light at 121st, if I recall, has some more modern technology than the light at 111th.
Correct.
We could add 30 seconds of time, but I also heard that if a bird flies by the light at 111th, it triggers some false alarm, and then we really, really mess up lots of traffic. So what I want the public to know is there's nothing easy about a traffic light adjustment. I read the room as to, Mayor, please don't adjust the light because there's terrible intended consequences for everyone else. That's just me reading the room, but I also have to be transparent with the public that in my limited understanding of a traffic light, I just figured let's give these guys 30 more seconds and take 30 seconds from them. But it is nowhere close to being that simple, is it?
No, it's not.
It's not, because these 2 lights don't communicate in the same way. When this road is all complete, I think we will have a technology, was it called radar?
Yes, sir.
So we don't have that yet, but we will have the ability for the light, God forbid, I even think, to think for itself and to kind of evaluate the traffic that's around it. Instead of just switching when the clock says to, it can look around and say, well, there's nobody coming. There's no reason for me to switch. But I will tell you, Mrs. Henry, that if you want me, a layman, to make a decision that affects thousands and thousands of people, I'm less inclined to do it when every public safety officer says, please don't. And to answer your other question, we physically counted cars, and Assistant Chief Brown handled that. She's not here tonight, but it was a physical car count. And then one of the other things that we noticed, and you can stop me if at any point if I understood it incorrectly, there are these copper tubes underneath the road that are some sort of technology that is tracking the vehicles as they pass over. And as you can imagine, they're physically not there. When this road starts to get milled and ground down and then overlaid, we're going to have a period of time where we have no technology at all helping count those cars that are going down the road. So changing the light would just probably just kind of be a snowball effect of complications, the way I understood it. So I will tell you that from our perspective, it's not likely that we were going to push to make a change when everyone in the room is saying, you don't understand. I had a very similar conversation, to be fair, because I do my work. I had a very similar conversation with the city manager of Glenpool after we talked about the fires, about signalization, and he made a joke and he said, whenever my counselors ask me to adjust the timing of a light, I go on vacation and I ignore their call for a week because they don't know what they're doing. So I'm giving you my perspective. I don't know if that's going to change much. I think, but I also haven't heard any feedback like you gave today. I haven't heard any bad feedback in 2 weeks, other than the Beckett Ridge, which threw a wrench in the works. But I haven't heard anything about a 30-minute commute. But I'll get out there again and test it. But I can tell you that a guy who sells software for a living, I'm not going to push these guys to adjust the timing and then just to hear a whole new group of people complain that are coming down Elwood. It would not be smart nor wise to do that. So I'm inclined not to push for it. But I can also tell you that a decision hasn't been made because we're still collecting that data. And we have a follow-up meeting.
Well, we're trying to gather the data through this week.
Yeah, so we wanted to gather data for, what was the first day of school? Was it a
Last Thursday.
So we wanted to gather data for a Thursday and a Friday and a full 5 days before we even considered what kind of decision we were going to make. Because frankly, in the midst of school changing, the road has gotten significantly better.
Right.
I can tell you personally, I drive it almost every day.
Right.
And I don't even live there. And I've noticed significant better flow. And I've gotten a lot of good feedback that the flow is better. Maybe it's just the social media gods are being favorable to us right now, but I think the road's getting better. And there's no significant construction anomalies other than the things we can't control that are gonna, we don't anticipate any slowing anybody down to one lane and doing any flagging outside of
Other
maybe
than
100
loading or unloading or something for a
unloading a
minute or
truck,
two.
yeah, which all that was pretty terrible timing on the first day of school, but.
Correct.
Yeah, but actually the Beckett Ridge neighborhood, which was kind of the epicenter of all the concern, gave me very good feedback that every single one of them was, as soon as they pulled up, that somebody immediately stopped them and took care of flagging them out and making sure they got onto the road. So I think they were given a good priority treatment, and I certainly haven't heard any complaints about the people passing through the neighborhood cutting through, because now they know that there's not a really good way to get around. So we do have a follow-up meeting. We'll see what happens, but I can't find anyone in the room that wants to change the light, just being honest with you. I'll be around later if you want to.
You're welcome to come to my house and leave at 7:15 every morning and drive that route yourself. I'm happy to have you lend you my driveway for that.
Miss Henry, and we're sorry you had a 30-minute commute in.
Every day.
And we wish you didn't, and that's why we are working with engineers. That's why we've had these meetings to look at the timing of the signalization, both on Elm, and we're looking at it coming off the bridge in anticipation of school starting. And right now we've decided to continue to collect data. So that's not to say that we're not going to make a change, but we just haven't made it yet. So
I was extending the offer for the data collection. You're welcome to drive that from 128 to the Creek Turnpike, and it'll take you 30 minutes, 35 minutes some days just to get to the creek, and then you still have your regular commute from the creek to your office.
Well, the good news is this gentleman lives at 126th, and he lives at 116th.
Right.
So we have our engineer and a city council who drive it every day. I don't live there, but I drive it frequently just to understand what's happening out there. So we've got our eyes on it, but just know that you flip a switch and there's an unintended consequence, and we just shift the blame from one road to the next. So, but we're looking at it, and I appreciate your comments, definitely.
But I know where you're coming from, living down there in Yorktown. I technically don't have to be at work till 8. I leave the house at 6:30 because I want to beat the traffic, whether it's summer or winter. But I totally understand, and I'm glad that the mayor and vice mayor are doing something with city manager to look at this stuff. Because I only drive to First Baptist Church. I don't have to drive all the way further, and so it's still time consuming, but thank you.
Mrs. Henry, you should definitely get Mr. Murray's phone number. He's the construction hotline guy, because he lives down in Yorktown. I'm just kidding. We've tried to find a little joy in the midst of the chaos. We know this road construction project is, well, the joke is that it's a nightmare. We get it. We know it's been hard. Thank you, Mr. Wilkins. Appreciate you, sir.
You're welcome.
If there's nothing further, the time is 7:56 p.m. and we will call an adjournment to the Jenks City Council meeting. And does anyone need a break? I do. Take a short recess, please. Scheduled meeting of the Jenks Public Works Authority, still Tuesday, August 18th. Time is 8:05 p.m. Roll call, please.
Brown. Still here. Short. Emmons.
Still here.
OJ. Abel. Murray.
Here.
Chairbox.
Here, item number 1, consideration appropriate action for consent agenda.
Motion to accept as written.
Second.
Thank you. Proper motion, second item 1's vote, please.
Brown.
Yes.
Emmons.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes, sir. No need for item 2. Moving on to item 3, authorizing the payment of design costs for Park West Trail Extension. This is project number J3877, state job number 38772. The dollar amount is $51,818. Funding for this will be appropriated by a budget resolution, the Jenks Public Works Authority Resolution 2026-07. It'll go to the 1 cent capital fund, street maintenance, roads, and bridges, and approve JPWA Resolution 2026-07, which is a supplemental appropriation for the payment above. We are on page 9. Is there...
Chair and all members of the authority, this is a combination City of Jenks and ODOT project. When the project was awarded, ODOT committed to funding 80% of the project, but the City of Jenks had to provide at least a minimum of 20%. On July 1st, 2025, the City Council approved a project agreement provided by the Oklahoma Department of Transportation for the design and construction of a trail extending from the Bark West Dog Park north to Main Street and west to connect into the proposed future trail system along Elwood Avenue. This agreement established the federal funding in the amount of $48,000, with a minimum coming from the City of Jenks of $12,000. On November 4th, 2025, city staff and ODOT held interviews with 3 design consultants and selected Garver as the design consultant for this trail extension. After the selection was made, ODOT and Garver began contract negotiations and finalized those in July of 2026. So the total design cost for this project is going to be $99,818, with the federal responsibility in the amount of the $48,000 I referenced earlier. So the city's responsibility is increasing from $12,000, it's increasing $39,818 to a total of $51,818. And that is why we are asking for this supplemental appropriation in the amount of $51,818 to fund the design of this future project, with ODOT at this point paying for about half of that, half of the total $100,000. So we're still getting a deal with ODOT supplementing this design.
Thank you, Mr. Stroud. Any questions from council? Mr. Murray?
Was part of this construction is why the house on the south side of Reesers was torn down? Did that have anything to do with this? Okay.
No. And this is just the design of the future trail that will go from the dog park north through Park West to Main Street and then west to Elwood. So the city did not purchase the house by the turnpike there. I don't know who purchased it, but they did tear it down. So
I just didn't know if that had anything to do with it.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We've actually received that question numerous times.
Okay.
So thank you for asking.
So theoretically, the trail will wrap around to the east of all the fields and then kind of curve back to Main Street. Is that right?
Yeah, all of that is to be determined.
Okay, all right.
It'll go through Park West in some form or fashion.
Oh, through. Okay, very well. Any other questions for Mr. Stroud on item number 3? All right, now we can entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve the Park West Extension Resolution 2026-07 Design Cost Authorization.
I will second that.
Thank you, gentlemen. We have a proper motion and a second. Let's vote, please.
Brown. Yes. Emmons.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Chairbox.
Yes. Other business, last call, Mr. Shroud, council. All right, seeing there's no other business, the time is 8:10 p.m. Jenks Public Works Authority meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Have a good evening.